Hi, everybody. I'm Frank Stanisci of Candid Frank Live, where you'll find us airing our views here on the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now on Candid Frank Live, joining me as usual is Aaron William Freeland. Aaron, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well, Frank. How are you?
I'm good, and everybody out there who's watching, please enjoy the show, subscribe, and be a part of the ongoing process where Aaron and Frank go over the news in their own imitable way. Yeah, okay, that sounds okay.
Sounds like it works.
I don't know. I really, it is what it is, I guess. So tell me something. How's your dad doing?
Dad is doing much better than he was on Monday. Thank you for that. He's been having a bit of a year, but he unfortunately, when pottering around in the garden on Monday, he managed to hurt himself. But he's doing a lot better now. He was also the reason why, for those of our viewers who were watching on Wednesday, will notice I happened to leave a little bit early. But everything is fine, at least for the time being. We'll figure out exactly what's going on with him a little bit later.
Right. And all that matters is that you had a concern with your family, and this show does not take priority over your family. All right. So that's in action, not just in talk. We're not just laying out nice, pretty words that sound awesome. So that's why we did that, and that's why Aaron left. All right. I guess it might be fun to talk about the Canadian Football League, and why don't we talk about the Bombers?
We can certainly do that. Going into this Thursday's game, the Bombers were not doing as well as they could potentially have been. Bombers are currently sitting at 3-6-0, and BC is sitting at 5-3-0, and that's after the game that the Bombers won 25-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't often see. I don't recall the last shutout that I saw in the CFL, Frank. To be honest,
I think the Argos had one last year. I think,
but it wasn't 25-0 though. We'll check on that.
No,
but yeah,
to your point, it's unusual, rare,
yeah.
And in this case, surprising considering the BC Lions are known notoriously as an offensive dynamo. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers historically have always had a really great defense, but their defense hasn't been that effective throughout this season, as has their offense not been. But they looked dominant in that game, and good for them. I know the Winnipeg fans are breathing a sigh of relief because 3-6 is a lot better than 2-7.
Oh, for sure. Sergio Castillo had a banner night. He was 6 of 6, including a CFL record second 60-yarder of the season that set the tone. For the first couple of series, it was just 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0 before they finally settled in to get things done. The Winnipeg Bombers defense absolutely shut down the Lions. They kept Vernon Adams Jr. to 51 passing yards through the first three quarters on the way to only 74 yards total. I also don't recall the last time somebody had under 100 throwing yards in the game. Now, he did suffer an injury in the fourth quarter and was replaced by Jack Dolegala, but even up to that point, Winnipeg had been absolutely stifling.
That's concerning, and this has been Adams's problem, right? He does lay the odd egg.
You got to really kind of hope that it doesn't come at the wrong time.
Consistency is a problem for him. He has the ceiling is very high, but there are some holes in the floor.
For sure.
All right, let's go over to Nathan York, former Lion, to stay slightly on topic. He is now, man, this guy's touring the NFL. He's now tied to the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, he was released by
them and they signed him. Sorry, Aaron.
No worries. I jumped the gun there, Frank. He was released by the Giants on July 28th. He cleared waivers and lined up a workout with the Falcons pretty much right away. And he actually impressed the Falcons so much that the team released quarterback John Paddock to make room for him. So that's the information that I've got. I mean, Rourke has roamed around the NFL looking for an opportunity to play. He's been with the Jags, Patriots, Giants, Falcons. Uh, I mean, for a CFL most extended player, he's certainly been getting looks. He just hasn't been able to catch on.
There's a bit, I can't, I don't mean it in a heavy way, but there might be a little prejudice there because he's a Canadian quarterback. Can a Canadian quarterback play this game? He spent some time in Canada, but he did U.S. college, but unfortunately, he didn't do what seems to garner the kind of respect a quarterback needs to be in the NFL. If you look at the Canadian Football League, a lot of their quarterbacks are not shunned by the NFL, but they are definitely ignored. So it's in that class of quarterback that I think Rourke finds himself. But the magic that he's done, the very limited time he's had to show what he can do, and he's done pretty well. I just can't see and can't understand, Aaron. The part that I can't understand is let's see this guy under center.
I
Let's put him under center. Let's see what he can do. We saw that happen in one game, an exhibition game. What he did, it was a memorable game. It was a highlight night for him.
Yeah, I'd like to see him get some more reps. I really would love to see him get his hands on the ball just so they can actually see what he can do. I mean,
Even
you
if
can
he
look at
does,
game film from the CFL, but it's not the same thing as seeing it in person.
well, absolutely. That's that prejudice I'm talking about. That
Yeah.
isn't heavy. I'm not talking heavy prejudice. Just going, he's a Canadian Football League quarterback. He was great there. Whoopee. But you know what? Warren Moon was just that. So and he became he was one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. So I don't know. I just like to see him play a quarter. If they give him a quarter, I think he'll really do a great job. And I just wonder sometimes. I wonder, like, what's going on with him when he's not playing. What's the relationship like with him and the coaching staff? Is there something we're not hearing? Because I just don't see him getting the kind of chance that you would expect for a quarterback, when he's picked up by a team, right? Well, let's run him out there and see what he can do.
I think that's what intrigues me the most. Normally, nothing travels as fast as bad news. So if there was anything negative to say about Rourke, we'd
Right.
probably have heard it by now.
And
The fact
that's
that we haven't heard anything is just absolutely puzzling.
it's exactly that. It's quizzical, it's puzzling, it really, mind blowing, really. All right, the Stamps. They add an American running back.
Yeah, they have added American running back Kylan Hill. He attended training camp with the Red Blacks earlier this year and saw action in 2 preseason games with 7 carries for 43 yards and 1 reception for 9. He was on the practice roster for the first month of the season before Ottawa released him July 2nd. He was a 7th-round pick by the Green Bay Packers in the 2021 NFL draft. So he's got the skills to play the game. He played 10 games over 2 seasons with the Packers and had 11 carries for 31 yards and 1 reception for 5 yards. He played with the XFL's Orlando Guardians before coming to the CFL. He looks to be an interesting pickup for the Stampeders for sure. At 3-4-0, they're looking for a little bit more offensive punch to sort of supplement what they've already got. This could be what they need to put them over the top.
The Elks sign a DB, USDP, American.
Yeah, they signed J.J. Ross to the practice roster, so he's not starting games for them yet or anything like that. But he joins the Elks following 3 seasons at Western Illinois University. He's appeared in 30 games for the Leathernecks with 113 tackles, 3 interceptions. Based on the way that they got absolutely lit up, it doesn't surprise me that they went looking for a little defensive back help, especially after playing the Ticats. So it's one of those things where, it's definitely an addition. We'll have to see where it goes from there.
Let's go over to the Olympics. You got tennis. Canada wins their 2nd ever Olympic tennis gold medal. Sorry.
Yeah. Actually, Felix Auger-Aliassime is actually going to be playing for bronze on Saturday after losing in the semifinals. But Dabrowski and Felix Auger-Aliassime won the mixed double bronze Friday at the Paris Games in a 6-3, 7-6 victory over Demi Schuurs and Wesley Koolhof of the Netherlands. So great to see them having a little bit of success on the court, and really glad to see Felix doing well in the single side of things. He has the opportunity to set another historic record for Canada by being the first man to medal.
What a way to come back to the Olympics, the Canadian national basketball team. Clean slate for them, beat Spain.
Yeah, at times I didn't think they'd be able to do it. Spain has been very strong when it comes to international basketball.
Historically, absolutely.
But the fact that they managed to pull out an 88-85 win is very good for them. It's very inspiring. They were level at 19-19 at the end of the opening quarter before Canada pulled away in the second. But under double pressure, 1:45 into the second, Andrew Nimblehard sunk a three-pointer that put Canada up 22-21, and they never looked back from there. So,
So we got another bouncing bronze medal.
Yeah, and this was a bit of a surprise. I don't think anybody expected Sofiane Methot to medal like that. She got a score of 55.65 for our 8 games podium finish all time in the sport. I think part of that is carryover from the bronze medal winning performance she had last month at the World Cup in Portugal, which got her to the podium at Bercy Arena on Friday. It's that Canada's 8th all-time trampoline medal at the Summer Games, and at least one top 3 finish at 6 of 7 games since the sport's Olympic debut back in 2000. So,
and the next day she had a double celebration.
Yeah,
it was her birthday as well.
Yep.
Good for her. Let's talk about day 7 in general. A recap.
Yeah, there's a lots of doings that transpiring. Everything is going off all at the same time. Kylie Massey got Canada's 11th medal of the Paris Games, taking bronze in the women's 200-meter backstroke, finishing just 400ths of a second ahead of Phoebe Bacon of the United States. Australia's Kaylee McEwen grabbed the gold. Looking a little further down the list here, yes, we have Sophie that won bronze. The clean slate. The one actually a good point for us here is Mo Ahmed ran a remarkable 4th place finish in the men's 10,000. We haven't really had a lot of success when it comes to distance running, just mainly because of everything the way it is. The other thing is, I think it's time that we officially start calling this not the Olympics, not the Summer Olympics, but the Olympics of Summer, because Summer McIntosh has been absolutely dominating for Canada, and it's great to see. She's only 17. The only place to go from here is up.
This is something that she has, believe it or not, I don't even know how I can even bother saying this, is she's built towards this. How do you build as a 17-year-old to something as big as this?
Just got to keep winning every championship on the way up.
It's totally amazing what she's done. Let's go over the National Hockey League, and we'll talk about the Jets and what's going on with them.
Well, the Jets were originally trying to trade for Marty Necas, and as part of that, they were actually dangling Cole Perfetti and Marty McGroarty out to the Hurricanes. But as it turns out, unfortunately, Marty Necas will not be joining the Winnipeg Jets. They signed Necas to a 2-year, $13 million contract. Necas was partly getting a little upset and bored with his contract situation, and opted to sign a bridge deal that will look to prove his worth over the next 2 seasons. He's basically signed himself to a show me RFA deal. So glad to see that he's doing that. Glad to see also at the same time that the Jets are going to be able to keep Cole Perfetti, because he's been a very important building block and a very important player for them, especially since his emergence from the Manitoba Moose last year.
Let's move over to Ottawa and the Senators.
This is a really interesting situation for them. They hired longtime Senators reporter Ian Mendez and Sylvain Saint-Laurent to prominent communication roles. This is a reminder of all the subtle ways the organization has changed behind the scenes in the past year. after a year of confirmation and 10 actual months under Michael Andlar's ownerships, we're seeing a lot of changes in this organization that are pointing towards, if not great things, at least better things in the future for the long-suffering fans in Ottawa. Um,
It's not easy, man. The National
no,
Hockey League right now, and that division they're in, it's a killer division. But really, it's just the National Hockey League. That's, it's very difficult when only half the teams make the playoffs. It's almost baseball like.
yeah, it seems ridiculous to me though that in hockey you need at least 50 wins and a bowl, or, at least 100 points to stand a reasonable chance of making the playoffs. Yet in baseball, winning 86 or 87 out of 162 games is considered good enough to make the make the playoffs, which is just bizarre to me.
Yes, and it is. It's difficult. I mean, it is what it is. Let's talk a little bit about the Maple Leafs, and they signed their first round draft pick.
Yeah, congratulations to defenseman Ben Danford for being signed to a 3-year entry level contract. He actually is one of the players that actually idolized Phil Kessel growing up. And it seemed like it was only going to be a matter of time before he actually became a Maple Leaf. We'll see how he does in camp this year. The expectation is if he doesn't make the roster right out of training camp, he'll potentially be seeing game time about a month in. So that is one of the more interesting developments that could happen.
Now, the Leafs are fortunate in the sense that their AHL team practices in the same building their NHL team practices in. So, the ability to take a precious pick like that and coach him up as quickly as possible. We know that with defensemen, it takes a while longer than it does with forwards to be ready, NHL ready. But there has been a history where rookie defensemen in recent memory, one need only look at New Jersey, Vancouver, the two brothers, the Hughes brothers that came in and maybe didn't dominate the first year, but end up becoming captain of your team. I mean, that kind of stuff speaks to the fact that this kid, the Leafs have drafted, who's not as big as he's going to be. This is a guy that's going to be a power defenseman, if you will, which I find ironic that that Kessel was his idol. His game isn't exactly Kessel-ish.
No, and Kessel isn't exactly a defensive gem,
Right.
you
So,
know.
so that it should be interesting. I say look forward to seeing him in the lineup. Look forward to the coaching staff and the organization wanting him to get the best coaching they can get. And we know whether you like the Leaf coaching staff or not, it's not the point. The point is, from the Leaf perspective, from management perspective, the best coaches they have are with the Leafs. And for him to learn at that level right away, maybe not thrown into the fire, as you said, sit back for a month or something like that. Give him a chance to feel what it's like to be an NHL player. Get him in there, and star defensemen like him, early picks like him don't have to go to the AHL for 3-4 years. Not in today's game.
No, definitely not. There's not as much seasoning required for a lot of these players now. So that is something that can work to the Maple Leafs' advantage.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to some what you refer to as shenanigans. Let's talk about three newly freed Americans are back on U.S. soil after a landmark prisoner exchange with Russia.
So all things considered, there was a 24-person, 7-country prisoner swap that was arranged with Russia. Um, there were actually four prisoners of note that were coming back to the states. In particular, Evan Yershkovich and Paul Whelan, who was a Canadian-born Marine that was arrested. as well as Vladimir Kara-Murza and also Kurmasheva. Um, all of those were freed in a deal brokered by Biden and Harris, much to the chagrin and dismay of Donald Trump, who claimed that Putin would do it for free for him after the election was over. It looks like the Biden and Harris administration beat him to the punch. So,
well, this is the same guy who traded thousands of prisoners for a third of the same prisoners when it came to Afghanistan. Yeah, so talk is cheap, and nobody's cheaper than Trump. So I guess in conclusion here, the last couple of minutes, Aaron, I'm wondering from your perspective. We haven't talked about this. We've chewed around the edges, but let's dive right in here. How do you feel about the people who berate the prime minister, and what is the reaction of the prime minister in your mind? Do you see any kind of pushback from the Liberal Party when it comes to some of these people that are basically just bashing and name calling, you using the F word, that kind of stuff?
I haven't seen a lot of reaction from the prime minister, but again, when it comes to private individuals that are trying to do this sort of thing, I think it behooves him to stay above the fray, as it were, to not dirty his hands by getting down into the trenches with those of these individuals on social media who are trying to call him out. Certainly, the rebel sicking Kian Bexty on him when he was on vacation with his family on a private beach was not something that needed to be addressed. I am glad that in that ambush interview, Trudeau managed to keep his cool in the face of this organization sicking a reporter on him in Tofino. But personally, I'm glad if he doesn't respond. That sort of thing is, and insults like those people are throwing out, especially the F Trudeau crowd, that's definitely beneath him.
And therefore, no comment is necessary. Don't give it oxygen. So I guess we can strangle that thought right now.
Let's just put that to bed.
Well, all I can say is name calling is I guess, in my opinion, when you revert to calling people names, it means you don't have anything to say about them that's definitive. You don't have anything to say that'll stick. So you revert to the easy thing, and that is call people names. That's that's my opinion what that's about. I think it's very low, and it's not productive. It's just anger and frustration.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't solve anything. It helps with certain groups of people to hear that kind of stuff, if you believe that that's an okay way to behave, or is it educate people in why you want to the prime minister?
I'll be honest with you, individuals who already think that way and have paid money to get stickers and flags for their trucks, you're not going to be able to reason with them. It's best to just let it lie.
Okay, I'll take your advice and I'll let it lie right now. Aaron, it was a pleasure. Thank you for doing this.
Hey, thanks for having me, Frank. Always a pleasure to be here.
He's Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching Candid Frank Live, Aaron, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For Candid Frank Live, other news, entertainment, and sports programming we offer, please check out SpanglishWorld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. And don't forget Candid Frank Stanisci on YouTube. Ciao for now, everyone. Thanks for joining us.